Hello and welcome to Kent Tonight, live on KMTV. I'm Bartholomew Hall. Here are your top stories on Friday, the 18th of April. Kicking the addiction, football legend says more support's needed for recovering alcohol and drug addicts in East Kent. Death in the Channel, further small boats brought to Kent shores as person confirmed to have died. And can you see it? Artist says Canterbury's underwater statue should be left to weather after critics are worried over its overgrown state. But first this evening, footballing legend Tony Adams says recovery, housing and employment are all crucial to kicking an addiction after he met those on their way to sobriety in Margate. Well, now 3 decades sober himself, he hopes this three-pronged attack will defend those relying on drugs and alcohol from relapsing. Well, members at the Forward Trust, the dependents charity, say having Mr Arsenal as their new chair will help settle their score with addiction. Abby Hook has this report.
Maybe this is the sweetest of all, given what he's been through.
Including drug addiction, alcohol abuse and even time in prison. Tony Adams is considered one of Arsenal's greatest ever players, but off the pitch, life wasn't quite kicking in the right direction. It was nearly 30 years ago when he became one of the most high-profile recovering addicts in the country, and now he's supporting those facing that same battle here in the county.
You've got people here that are no different from me. We're in the same kind of, whether it's a footballer, this illness doesn't discriminate. It doesn't matter who you are, whether you're the groundskeeper at Margate or you're a postman or a doctor or a nurse or a professional footballer. It's the same illness, and there's a certain way out of that illness, and we need connection, we need friends, and there's a lot of people in this that I've met today that have got that connection, that have been through the same process. Some of them's gone through quickly, some of them slowly. My journey was now 29 years of recovery, a day at a time.
So would the Tony in your addiction recognise the Tony now in recovery?
Jesus, I was scared of that man. He was a frightened little boy, and when you're frightened and scared, they're quite dangerous. We've got this thing in recovery, we say like that little boy wanted a big hug, but I was putting up the face, you couldn't talk to me. I wouldn't have done interviews like this, you know what I mean? I was like, oh, go away, you know what I mean? Too scared. But now you can see me, you can see who I am, warts and all.
Well, he might be Mr Arsenal and have captained for England on the pitch, but the legacy that Tony wants to live on is that help and support offered to those facing addiction and now in recovery just like him, especially here in East Kent.
I've struggled with addiction for years really. I think I was born one, but I lost my mum to suicide in 2008 and sort of struggled ever since really. I know that's not an excuse, but I just never really knew what to do, and I went into rehab in July last year, and yeah, been really lucky with it really.
To be honest, when I was in addiction, I didn't really know much about recovery, and as a man to ask for help is quite difficult. Now I would ask for help for anything because I know that it's there. And while I was in prison, Forward Trust come to me and I went to fellowship meetings and stuff like that, and then I realised that this is my opportunity, so I took it with both hands. It's been a very difficult year. It's been one of the hardest years of my life.
While each journey is different, many say they've only been able to bench their addictions with guided support from charities like Forward Trust and idols like Tony, both on and off the pitch. Abby Hook for KMTV in Margate.
Now, an asylum seeker has died trying to cross the English Channel towards Kent. The RNLI confirmed it launched an all-weather lifeboat and a group of migrants were brought to Dover in a border force boat this morning. Well, it comes after more than 700 migrants crossed the English Channel on 12 boats on Tuesday, which was the highest number of arrivals in a single day this year. The government says it's vowed to crack down on people smuggling across the Channel. Kent's largest LGBT+ celebration has been saved from not going ahead after a new location was granted by the City Council. Usually held in the Dane John Gardens Park, Canterbury Pride sees around 20,000 visitors to the city centre every year. But now bosses have announced the Free Festival will now take place at the historic Westgate Towers. It comes after the Dane John location has been closed to the public until December following widespread levelling up works across the city. Air ambulance charity Kent, Surrey and Sussex is calling on people to take precautions this Easter weekend as it braces for a surge in call-outs. It comes as motorcycling incidents more than doubled around this time of year over the past decade. But with call-outs ranging from falls in the home to burns on a bonfire, I caught up with Dr. Duncan Bootland from the charity earlier this week to hear more about the seasonal strains.
When spring comes, when the days get lighter, when the weather warms up, we know we're going to be busier, certainly to certain types of incidents. So we have to make sure we're ready to go right from the start of the shift.
And when we think about the type of accidents that you're sort of attending during the springtime, when you do see this sort of increased load, I suppose sometimes it's a bit overlooked at what would require an air ambulance or the type of response that you can give to actually be needed in the first place. When we think about sort of DIY accidents, things happening, you know, just in the home, would you say that's true?
Yeah, so the air ambulance allows us to take a specialist doctor and a specialist paramedic to the scene to deliver enhanced care, so care that a standard ambulance wouldn't be able to provide before the patient gets to hospital. And what we see in the springtime is an increase in certain types of incidents. So particularly we're talking about people being injured on bicycles, on motorbikes, and injured in incidents perhaps at the home through perhaps DIY, working on ladders, but also lighting fires or lighting bonfires.
Yeah, I suppose because people most know the air ambulance charity for is attending sort of road traffic collisions. I suppose that's the more typical view of them. But again, at this time of year, we've seen motorcycling incidents, for example, more than double in the springs, from sort of 252 to the numbers of sort of 521. Are there sort of specific challenges that your teams face at this time of the year then when you do see you know, more people on the roads, more people spending time at home, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so as people move about as the weather gets better and they're out and about, then more of these incidents do happen. And we're keen to stress we're not telling people not to go out and enjoy themselves and enjoy the good weather, but we're talking about trying to take extra caution in being safe, because we do see incidents related to motorbikes, to bicycles, and like I say, working on ladders, and those increase in the springtime.
So I suppose what is your sort of overall message then to the public as we go into this Easter weekend?
And so I'd have two messages if I was allowed. The first is, like I say, we encourage people to get out and enjoy themselves and enjoy the good weather, but just take those extra few moments just to make sure that you're safe in what you're doing. So if you're on a bicycle or you're on a motorbike, make sure you're wearing the right protective gear. If you're driving a car, just make sure you take the time to be mindful of vulnerable road users so that you're not presenting danger to them. And if you're doing work around the house, just take those extra few moments to make sure that the ladder is safe, that there's someone there to support you, so that we can avoid any of these incidents that might happen.
Duncan, thank you very much for joining us today. It's good to speak with you.
Thank you very much.
Next, a unique underwater statue in Canterbury has been criticised after becoming covered in algae and silt, leaving it barely visible from its home at Westgate Towers. However, the creator says the installation is designed to weather with the flow of the river and the seasons. While our reporter Finn McDermid has been down to Westgate Gardens to see what people think.
Now, the Alluvia statue has been here for about 6 months, but over that time, as you can see, it's gained quite a lot of dirt and algae. And locals have even been saying that for them and for tourists, it can be a bit creepy, disturbing, and even hard to spot.
I mean, we'd come down, my brother had told us a bit about it. I was expecting a bit more. There wasn't much to it, really. I thought there might be more in there.
Yeah, I thought it looked a bit creepy.
And it's very dark. It's really cool.
Yeah, you can't really, you have to look right down to actually see the outline of the statue.
Behind the head at first, so.
Well, to be honest, we didn't actually notice it was there. We had to be told by the local journalist that it was there. We didn't see it the first time we walked past.
A little bit disappointed because it's a bit covered now in the algae, but
just about managed to see the outlines.
But according to the creator, that's actually how it's supposed to look. It's supposed to change with the seasons and naturally weather with the algae. But the question remains, should it be cleaned to help Canterbury's tourism, or should it stay as it is to help Canterbury's environment?
Yeah,
Do you know much about how it's a water sensor as well?
No, I didn't know that.
No, didn't even notice it.
Do you think it should be cleaned up?
I personally say yes.
Yeah, I say yes.
Well, I guess if it's the artist, then maybe we should respect them because it's their kind of ownership, their artistry. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I can see what they mean, blending in with nature. But if they want it to be an attraction that people can see, then maybe it's got to be cleaned.
So Canterbury City Council have said they won't commit to regularly cleaning the statue, but they will check on its condition. So for now, it'll stay as the artist and nature intended.
Well, before we go this evening, let's take a look at the weather. Tonight it's cloudy across the board, temperature of 11 and 12 degrees wherever you are. But into tomorrow morning, some sun peeking through the clouds in the east, temperatures staying relatively the same across the board though. Later in the day though, wind speeds picking up and yeah, as we say, those temperatures rather in the low teens. Here is the outlook, partly cloudy weather on Sunday and Tuesday, no sun in sight on Easter Monday, unfortunately. Well, that is it from us on KMTV this evening. You can check out all our latest stories by heading over to our website, kmtv.co.uk. We'll see you on Easter Monday. Bye-bye.